In a world where the internet connects billions across the globe, tales of deception and grand schemes have become all too familiar. But hidden among the vast digital landscape lies a story that transcends the ordinary, a story that begins with an unexpected email and a promise of unimaginable wealth. It is the captivating tale of the Nigerian prince scam, a web of intrigue, ambition, and the relentless pursuit of fortune. Prepare to enter a realm where cunning minds exploited the unsuspecting, and where the allure of a royal lineage became a modern-day legend. This is the untold history of the Nigerian prince scam, where truth, fiction, and the darkest of intentions converge in a captivating dance of deception. The Nigerian prince scam has been around since the French Revolution. During the French Revolution, when anyone who was remotely suspected of belonging to the old aristocracy was considered a traitor and sentenced to the guillotine, a scam began in which someone would send a letter, claiming to be a marquis or other nobleman. He would say that he lost a cache of jewels while escaping the guillotine and that his servant was imprisoned for trying to help him. The request was for bail money, and the promised reward was a share of the recovered jewels. Of course, the scheme was a complete hoax, and anyone who fell for it found themselves out of money. By the time the Spanish-American War came around, the scam had crossed the Atlantic Ocean and evolved. Tricksters would send out letters en masse, claiming to need help freeing someone, usually as someone who was quite wealthy, who had become a prisoner of war. A lot of money was required upfront to help pay the person's ransom. In return, the person was promised much money down the road. Of course, that money never came. All that to say that what we now know as the Nigerian prince scam is centuries old. And it probably won't be going away anytime soon. The Nigerian prince scam, also known as the 419 scam or advance fee fraud, is a common type of fraud that originated in Nigeria but has spread to other parts of the world. The scam typically involves an email or letter from someone claiming to be a Nigerian prince, government official, or a person with a large sum of money, seeking assistance in transferring funds out of the country. Here's how the scam generally operates. First phase, the initial contact. The scammer reaches out to potential victims via email, letter, or sometimes even phone calls. They often claim to be a wealthy Nigerian prince, government official, or a representative of a deceased person's estate. Second phase, the sob story. The scammer presents a convincing and emotional story to gain sympathy and trust. They may claim to be facing political unrest, persecution, or a legal problem, and need help to transfer a large sum of money out of Nigeria. Third phase, the request for assistance. The scammer asks the victim to provide their personal information, such as full name, address, phone number, and bank account details. They may also request copies of identification documents to make the scam appear legitimate. Fourth phase, the promise of reward. In exchange for the victim's assistance, the scammer promises a significant share of the funds as a reward, which could be several $1,000,000. This promise is used to entice the victim into cooperating. Fifth phase, fees and expenses. Once the victim shows interest, the scammer starts requesting various fees and expenses to facilitate the fund transfer. They claim these fees are necessary for legal purposes, taxes, bribes, or processing fees. The victim is often told that paying these fees is a sign of good faith and will expedite the transaction. Sixth phase, ghosting or threats. If the victim becomes suspicious or refuses to pay more money, the scammer may disappear or resort to threats and intimidation to coerce the victim into complying. For the Nigerian prince scam to be successful, people have to be convinced that they are helping someone on the other side of the world, a part that they know very little about and therefore will not think to question. The people who fall for the scam probably think of Africa as exotic, primitive, tribal, and unpolluted. The vast majority of people probably still live in small tribal villages, which are ruled by a wealthy chieftain who is dripping in jewels, honor, and traditional values. They would probably be very shocked to travel to Nigeria and see what the country is actually like. In reality, parts of Nigeria are quite modern. Far from being technologically impoverished, about half of Nigerians have regular internet access. Nigeria doesn't even have a monarchy, and as such, there is no royal family. Instead, Nigeria has a democratic government that somewhat resembles that of the United States. The Nigerian prince scam spread globally in the early 1990s, when email became a popular form of communication. Scammers would send out mass emails to potential victims, often using forged email addresses that made it look like the email was coming from a legitimate source. The emails would typically contain a sob story about the scammer's need for help, and would often include attachments that appeared to be official documents. During the early 2000s, the Nigerian prince scam gained widespread notoriety due to the increasing use of the internet and email as a means of communication. The scammers exploited the anonymity provided by the internet and the general lack of awareness about such scams at the time. These scams were not limited to Nigerian princes but also included other variations, such as lottery scams, job scams, and inheritance scams. The scammers targeted individuals around the world, often preying on the greed or desperation of their victims. Law enforcement agencies, both within Nigeria and internationally, made efforts to combat these scams, but the scammers were often difficult to track down due to the use of fake identities and the involvement of multiple individuals in the operation. As awareness about the Nigerian prince scam grew and people became more cautious, scammers adapted and started using different tactics and storylines. While the Nigerian prince scam is still active today, its peak in terms of public awareness and prevalence was during the early 2000s. Technology has played a significant role in the Nigerian prince scam. The scam gained prominence with the rise of email and internet usage. Fraudsters can easily send mass emails to potential victims, reaching a large number of people quickly and at a relatively low cost. Over time, spam filters have become more sophisticated in identifying and blocking scam emails. In response, scammers have developed techniques to bypass these filters, such as email spoofing. They manipulate the "from" field in the email header to make it appear as if the email is coming from a reputable source. Scammers often create elaborate websites that resemble legitimate institutions or businesses to gain credibility. These websites may have convincing logos, professional designs, and fake testimonials to deceive victims into believing the legitimacy of the scam. Technology enables scammers to create false identities easily. They can set up fake email accounts, create social media profiles, and use virtual phone numbers to give themselves an air of authenticity. Technology has made it easier for scammers to receive money from victims. They often request payment through wire transfer services or online payment platforms, which are convenient for international transactions. Law enforcement agencies collaborate with other organizations to raise awareness about the Nigerian prince scam and similar fraud schemes. These campaigns aim to educate the public about the tactics used by scammers, warning signs to watch for, and how to protect oneself from falling victim to such scams. Law enforcement agencies actively investigate reported cases of the Nigerian prince scam. They collect information, analyze patterns, and identify individuals or groups involved in perpetrating the fraud. They may also collaborate with international law enforcement agencies and organizations to gather intelligence and share information. Since the Nigerian prince scam often involves perpetrators located outside the jurisdiction of the victims, law enforcement agencies engage in international cooperation to apprehend and prosecute those involved. This may involve sharing information, coordinating efforts, and working with other countries' law enforcement agencies through legal channels and international treaties. The Nigerian prince scam has served as a blueprint for numerous online fraud schemes. Fraudsters have adapted its core principles and techniques to create new scams such as lottery scams, inheritance scams, romance scams, and more. These scams often employ similar tactics, relying on persuasive storytelling, urgent requests for financial assistance, and the promise of significant rewards. The Nigerian prince scam has become synonymous with online fraud. Its global notoriety has influenced public perception and awareness of scams originating from Nigeria and other regions. This recognition has made people more cautious when encountering similar scams and has prompted increased efforts to educate the public about online fraud. Overall, the Nigerian prince scam has had a lasting influence on online fraud by shaping scam techniques, fostering global awareness, spurring law enforcement efforts, driving the development of anti-fraud measures, and promoting public education and awareness about online scams.
Everyone wants to feel like a king, and that's exactly what RM Kings provides. Our collection features handcrafted RM Kings pendants made with the finest precious and standard metals such as gold, silver, and brass, with overall attention to detail. From chains to earrings to bracelets, our pieces are designed to enhance your aura and make you feel like exactly that, a king. So why wait? Treat yourself to a piece of jewelry that's as superlative and unique as you are. Shop our RM Kings collection today and join the army of kings who have already discovered their throne. Become a modern Egyptian king, one piece at a time.